If you were asked on your wedding day to call off the ceremony all of a sudden, would you pause to find out why, or would you push forward, ignoring the warnings? What exactly would you do, dear viewers? Anika was the youngest daughter of her parents, cherished and adored by her two elder brothers, Kiran and Ravi. From a young age, Anika had always dreamed of marrying a wealthy man so she could proudly bear the title Udu wife, which is a term used to describe the wife of a very rich man. She had a strong taste for luxury and was drawn to the finer things of life. Her room was adorned with fashion magazines and posters of luxurious mansions, reflecting her aspirations. reflecting her aspirations. So when Anika met a man of considerable wealth, she didn't hesitate to agree to marry him after only 3 weeks of knowing him. For Anika, his riches were all that mattered, and she was thrilled to think of the glamorous life that awaited her. But, my dear viewers, I want to ask, is riches the only thing that matters in marriage? Let's find out in this story. The wedding plans were quickly set in motion. After the man met her parents during a lavish dinner at a high-end restaurant, Anika was beyond excited about her upcoming wedding to an Odu. Remember, I said Odu is a simple term used to describe a rich man. She eagerly awaited the day she would walk down the aisle, dressed in her finest dress, ready to claim her title as Odu's wife. She felt her dreams were finally coming to pass and said to herself, I have finally found the perfect man of my dreams, a man that has riches, money that is uncountable, and I'm going to finally bear the title of Udu's wife, of course. But, my dear viewers, who wouldn't be happy to get married to a wealthy man, imagining a life full of luxury and wealth? But wait, could that be the case in Anika's story? The more reason why you should keep listening to this story. The day of the wedding finally arrived, and Anika was all excited, getting her hair done, her makeup, everything that would ensure the wedding would be a success. Her wedding dress, a custom designed gown, sparkled under the lights, symbolizing her dreams. But on that wedding morning, while Anika was getting dressed, Kiran, Anika's elder brother, walked into the room with a troubled expression. A troubled expression. What could he be up to? Before I continue this story, my dear viewers, this is a plea to you. If you're watching my videos and you haven't subscribed, please be a part of my growth. Please click on that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey, my family, I see you. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you, and I do not take your support for granted. So let's go back to the story. Kiran, Anika's elder brother, said to her, Anika, you need to call off this wedding, Kiran said, his voice filled with urgency. Anika turned to him, her face flushed with anger. Why would you say that? This is my wedding day, and you're trying to ruin it. How can you ask me to call off my wedding? For Christ's sake, it's my wedding day. You are supposed to be happy for me, dear brother. Kiran tried to reason with her and also tried to explain why. But Anika would not listen. Instead, she lashed out, accusing him of jealousy. You are just envious because ever since you finished your university, you haven't been able to get a good job or even become wealthy as my fiancé. That is why you don't want me to marry him, because you don't want me to enjoy riches. You don't want me to have what you can't achieve. You are the elder brother here. You should act as one. Kiran's heart sank at her harsh words. Anika, this isn't about me, he said. I'm only trying to protect you. Try to listen to me, baby sister. But Anika was too furious to care. She called him wicked and accused him of wanting to ruin her happiness. Hurt and angry, Kiran left the room, vowing never to interfere again. Dear viewers, I'm sure you are wondering why Kiran would walk up to his baby sister on her wedding day and ask her to call off the wedding. But if you were Anika, would you calm down to listen to your elder brother's reasons, or would you react the same way Anika just did? Despite her brother's warning, the wedding ceremony proceeded and Anika got married to her fiancé. After wedding, Anika arrived at her husband's house with so much excitement. The house was indeed full of luxury and wealth, a big mansion with marble floors and crystal chandeliers that anyone would want to live in, of course, and Anika was super excited. She said, just take a look at all this glitz and glamour in luxury. And my brother Kiran wanted me to call off the wedding of marrying this wealthy man. He must be sick. Thank God I didn't listen to him about calling off the wedding. So this is what I would have missed. What a jealous brother. Other brothers look out for their baby sisters, and all Kiran could do was tell me to call off my wedding. Well, let me sit on this wealth and enjoy money. Anika had no idea that Kiran had discovered something that could save her life. 6 months after Anika got married to her husband, her parents became worried because they hadn't heard from Anika in a long while. Her phone number was no longer connecting. Even her brothers did not hear at all from Anika, and her parents became worried sick about their daughter. Back in the city, Anika's dreams of a glamorous life as an Urdu wife soon turned into a nightmare. Within a few months of the wedding, Kiran's concerns became painfully clear. Anika's parents called Kiran. Anika's parents called Kiran and asked him what he wanted to say on the wedding day. That was when Kiran revealed that Anika's husband wasn't just a wealthy man. He was also part of a dark secret society. Kiran had also discovered that her husband had been married 4 times before, each time to a different woman who mysteriously died within a year of their wedding. Her husband's wealth was tied to these deaths, as he sacrificed each wife to renew his life and maintain his riches. Anika's parents were shocked to hear this, and they begged their son Kiran to please go look for their daughter in the city. Kiran, unable to shake his worry, decided to visit Anika without informing her husband. When he arrived at their lavish mansion, he found the house eerily quiet. The air was thick with an unsettling silence. As he sat in the parlor, he heard strange voices coming from a locked room. Breaking down the door, he found Anika crying. She said to her brother in a whisper, "He plans to use me to renew his life, just like he did with his other wives. I discovered all of his secrets after our wedding." Kiran was horrified, but acted quickly. He gathered Anika's belongings and they made their way out of the house. But as they reached the door, her husband appeared, blocking their way. "You think you can leave?" he snarled. "No one escapes me," he said. Kiran stood his ground, his determination unshaken. "I'm taking my sister out of this house today." Anika trembled behind her earlier anger and pride, now replaced with sheer terror. She clutched Kiran's arm tightly, her mind reeling with the horrifying truth she had uncovered. Kiran, however, stood his ground, his face set with determination. "You think this boy can challenge me?" Her husband said to him, "I have dealt with far stronger than you, and they've all fallen. Do you think you can stand against me?" Without warning, her husband lunged at Kiran, his movements swift and vicious. Kiran, summoning every ounce of strength he had left, struck his face with a powerful punch, causing him to stagger backward. Kiran quickly followed with a well-aimed kick, sending him crashing into a nearby table, which shattered into pieces. Seizing that opportunity, Kiran grabbed Anika's hand, pulling her toward the door. But her husband, now enraged and bleeding, lunged at them one last time, his face twisted in fury. Kiran, however, was ready. With a swift move, he swung a broken table leg at him, striking him squarely on the head. Her husband crumpled to the floor, unconscious and defeated. Panting and shaking, Kiran and Anika didn't waste a second. They bolted out of the house and into the night, running as fast as their legs could carry them. They didn't stop until they were far from the mansion, finally collapsing in exhaustion on the roadside. It was only then, as they caught their breath, that the full weight of what had happened settled on Anika. Tears welled up in her eyes as she turned to Kiran, her voice trembling with regret. "Kiran," she said, "I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I should have listened to you. I was so blinded by wealth and the thought of becoming an Odu wife that I didn't see the truth. I insulted you, doubted your love for me, and I put my life at risk. Can you ever forgive me, my dear brother?" Kiran looked at his sister, his face softening as he saw the sincerity in her eyes. He gently pulled her into a hug, holding her close. "You are my sister," his voice filled with emotion. "I will always, always forgive you. What matters now is that you are safe and that you've learned from this. Wealth isn't worth your life. I just want you to be happy, but in the right way, my darling sister." Anika nodded, her tears soaking his shirt. She knew that her brother was right, and she had been foolish to let material things cloud her judgment. She had learned a hard lesson, but was grateful to have her brother by her side. The valuable lesson from this story is that true love and concern from family should never be underestimated. Often, the people who challenge our decisions are acting out of love, not envy, and their warnings may protect us from dangers we cannot foresee. Wealth and material possessions can never replace genuine happiness and safety. It's essential to value the advice of those who care about us, even when it's difficult to accept. Marrying for wealth or superficial reasons can lead to unimaginable risks and sorrow. As this story shows, being blind to warning signs can result in life-threatening situations. True happiness and a meaningful life are built on trust, love, and understanding, not wealth or status. Thank you for watching my channel, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next story. Your support means the world to me. See you in the next video. One faithful day, Leela went to the palace. She lied to the prince, claiming she had an urgent matter to discuss about Mira. The prince, concerned and curious, led Leela to his room. There, Leela's seduction took place, and she slept with the prince, leading to an unintended consequence. Once upon a time, in a small, picturesque village, there lived two inseparable twin sisters named Leela and Mira. At 22 years old, they were the only twins in the village, and their beauty was admired by all. As they grew, their bond only strengthened. They did everything together, from playing in the fields to fetching water from the stream for their family. As the twins blossomed into young women, they caught the attention of every young man in the village. But it was the village prince who became truly smitten, especially with Mira. Every morning, As Mira went to the stream, the prince would secretly meet her. They would talk and laugh, their fondness for each other growing day by day. Lila, always accompanying her sister, would wait patiently. She was genuinely happy for Mira and would pass the time playing with other villagers near the stream. But things began to change when their stepmother learned of Mira's secret meetings with the prince. Their stepmother, harboring a hidden resentment towards the twins, saw an opportunity to sow discord. She whispered poisonous thoughts into Lila's ear, suggesting that once Mira became queen, she would no longer have time for her twin. Lila tried to ignore these words, but as time passed, she noticed Mira slipping away early in the mornings, leaving her to go to the stream alone. Mira would wake up very early in the morning and go to the stream all by herself just to catch up with the prince at their regular time. To Mira, it seemed like a good idea, as she never wanted to disturb Lila. By the time she was done with the prince, Lila would have arrived at the stream, and they could go home together. But to Lila, it felt as though Mira was becoming pompous and found the prince more interesting than her. This growing distance planted a seed of doubt in Lila's mind. She started to feel left out and jealous. She didn't want to harm Mira, but a dark plan began to form in her heart. Lila decided to seduce the prince and win him for herself, believing this would restore the balance between her and her sister. So one faithful day, Lila went to the palace. She lied to the prince, claiming she had an urgent matter to discuss about Mira. The prince, concerned and curious, led Lila to his room. There, Lila's seduction took place, and she slept with the prince, leading to an unintended consequence that would change their lives forever. As Lila left the palace, she felt a mix of triumph and guilt. The prince, meanwhile, was overwhelmed with shame and regret, unsure of how to face Mira with this secret. But little did they know, this act would unravel a series of events that would deeply affect the entire village. In the following days, the twins' relationship grew strained, and the village buzzed with whispers of change. Lila's plan had set into motion a tale of love, betrayal, and unintended consequences that would soon unfold in ways she never imagined. And so, the story of Lila, Mira, and the prince continued, leading to unexpected twists and turns in the lives of these intertwined souls. In the heart of the village, time moved like the gentle flow of the stream, but for Lila and Mira, life had taken a turbulent turn. Lila, who once shared an unbreakable bond with her twin, now harbored a heavy secret. The prince, tormented by guilt, avoided Mira, deepening the mystery surrounding his sudden change. Meanwhile, Mira, unaware of the storm brewing, continued her secret meetings with the prince. She noticed his growing distance but attributed it to the pressures of his royal duties. Lila watched from afar, her heart battling between jealousy and remorse. As the days turned into weeks, Lila's secret could no longer be contained. Her body began to reveal what she had hidden. She was pregnant. The village, always quick to notice change, began to whisper about Lila's condition. Mira, caught off guard, felt a mix of surprise and concern for her sister. In an unexpected turn of events, Mira too discovered she was pregnant. The prince, now facing a dilemma of royal proportions, confessed to Mira about his encounter with Lila. Mira's world shattered. She felt betrayed by the two people she loved most. The village elders, upon hearing this scandalous news, were faced with a difficult decision. According to village tradition, the prince was bound to marry the woman he impregnated first. But the twin pregnancies presented a unique challenge. After much deliberation, they concluded that the prince must marry both sisters to maintain honor and tradition. The twin wedding was unlike any the village had seen. It was a bittersweet ceremony filled with mixed emotions. Leela and Mira, once inseparable, now stood as co-brides in a complex triangle of love and betrayal. As the prince ascended to the throne, becoming the king, the twins gave birth on the same day. Leela bore a son and Mira a daughter. In the village, a queen who bore a prince was held in higher esteem, which only added to Mira's heartache. Despite the awkwardness of their situation, the twins tried to mend their relationship for the sake of their children. The palace, once a symbol of unity and strength, now echoed with the silent whispers of the past. Years passed, and the children grew blissfully unaware of the secrets and sorrows that had brought them into the world. But as with all secrets, the truth was bound to surface, and it did so at a moment of great significance. Village tradition dictated that when a prince turned 20, he must perform a sacred ritual to honor his lineage. As Leela's son, the young prince, prepared for this momentous occasion, little did he know that the success of his ritual would unveil a truth that would change their lives forever. The day of the ritual was marked with grandeur and anticipation. The entire village gathered, their eyes fixed on the young prince as he stood ready to perform the sacred ceremony. This ritual was not just a rite of passage, it was a testament to the prince's rightful place in the lineage of kings. But as the prince attempted the ritual, something unprecedented happened. The ritual, which had been successfully performed by generations of princes, failed. Confusion and whispers spread among the villagers. The prince tried again, his confidence waning, but to no avail. After 3 failed attempts, a sense of dread filled the air. The village elders, deeply troubled, consulted the village seer. The seer, known for her wisdom and connection to the spiritual realm, revealed that the failure of the ritual was due to a hidden truth, a secret that was disrupting the spiritual balance. The village turned its eyes toward Leela. Under the weight of the villagers' gaze and the seer's revelation, Leela's resolve crumbled. In a moment of desperate honesty, she confessed the shocking truth. The children, Leela began, her voice trembling, were switched at birth. The prince you see before you is not truly my son but Mira's. The princess is my daughter. Her confession sent shockwaves through the crowd. Mira, overwhelmed by the magnitude of her sister's betrayal, felt a deep sense of loss for the years she had missed with her true son. The king, realizing the depth of the deception, was filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. Leela, overcome with guilt and shame, fled from the crowd, disappearing into the forest that bordered the village. Her departure was as sudden as it was tragic, leaving behind a legacy of regret and a family torn apart by her actions. With the truth now revealed, Mira's son stepped forward to perform the ritual. This time, the ceremony was completed successfully, restoring balance and honor to the royal lineage. In the wake of Leela's confession, the village was enveloped in a somber silence. Mira, now reunited with her true son, the rightful prince, faced the challenge of building a relationship that had been lost for years. The king, though hurt by the deception, stood by Mira, offering her support and understanding. The young prince and princess, now aware of their true heritage, adapted to their new realities with the resilience of youth. Mira, embracing her role as the mother of the prince, devoted herself to nurturing and guiding him, ensuring he was prepared for his future responsibilities. The king, reflecting on the events that had unfolded, initiated reforms in the kingdom to strengthen familial bonds and prevent such tragedies from occurring again. He understood that the kingdom's strength lay not just in its traditions, but in the honesty and integrity of its people. As for Leela, her fate remained a mystery. Some say she wandered far from the village, living a life of solitude, forever haunted by her actions. Others believe she found redemption in a distant land, learning to forgive herself and starting anew. Her story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of jealousy and the importance of truth. In the end, the tale of Leela, Mira, and the royal family became a story of forgiveness, growth, and the enduring strength of familial bonds. It was a testament to the fact that even in the darkest of times, there is always a path toward light and reconciliation. And so, the village moved forward, cherishing its traditions while embracing the lessons learned from the past, ensuring that the future would be brighter for all. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through love, betrayal, and redemption in the tale of Leela, Mira, and the Prince. This story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, forgiveness and resilience can lead to growth and healing. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay inspired by the power of storytelling. A long time ago, in the peaceful village of Ai, there was a young woman named Naya, who was the first daughter of King Soro and Queen Tana. At 27 years old, unlike her three younger sisters, Naya was unmarried because of her body size. She was not getting any suitors because she was extremely fat. Some villagers began to sing mocking songs about her during their evening gatherings by the village well, and the issue of her weight was always on the lips of gossips. Some of them would say, "I heard that they tie 3 wrappers so it can go around her waist." Others would say, "Did you hear that she finished 1 whole goat in a day?" King Soro and his wife were troubled about their daughter's weight. They often had whispered discussions late into the night, wondering how they could help her. Several times they tried to set up arranged marriages for her with neighboring chiefs, but nobody was interested. Naya, on the other hand, had given up on herself because she was so addicted to food that she could not imagine becoming slim in her lifetime. She believed marriage would probably not be an option for her. She thought any man that agreed to marry her would be doing it for her royal status and not because he loved her. And Naya had always desired to be truly loved by whoever she married. Although she was generally unhappy with her life, she was able to find a bit of happiness from dancing. Naya was a fantastic dancer, known in her childhood for outshining her peers at festivals before her weight became a topic of ridicule. Oftentimes, she would hide in her dimly lit hut, humming traditional songs, and begin to dance to the beats she made from her mouth. Whenever there were festivals, Naya would look for a lonely spot behind the towering baobab trees, close enough to hear the music, and dance to her heart's content. She was always hiding because she did not want anyone to mock her joyful movements. Well, it was the end of another successful year, and it was time for the annual festival between the 4 neighboring villages. As usual, everyone was vibrating with excitement. Some people could not wait to showcase their best embroidered dresses, passed down through generations. Some polished their dancing steps and practiced endlessly with their musical instruments in the moonlight, while others could not wait to enjoy the variety of spicy meals that would be served on that day. Naya, on the other hand, was only interested in finding a lonely spot that would give her the freedom to express her dancing steps without the sting of judgmental eyes. Finally, she found a secluded spot near the edge of the village where she could hear the drums and flutes clearly. The sound of the wind rustling through the tall grass added to the rhythm. Then she began to dance with a wide grin on her face, her bare feet tapping against the cool earth. However, she soon noticed the sound of a drum becoming louder and louder, but she ignored it because she was engrossed in her dancing. Suddenly, the festival music stopped, but the sound of the drum continued, echoing through the night. She immediately turned her back and saw a man playing the drum with a huge smile on his face. The man stopped playing and asked, "Why did you stop dancing?" Naya immediately began running, her sandals slipping off her feet as she moved, and the man followed her. But because she was too heavy to run fast, he caught up with her near a small wooden bridge. "Leave me alone," she said, panting and clutching a tree for support. "Go and look for your comedic relief somewhere else." The man looked at her kindly, wondering why she thought she was a joke to him. "I got lost trying to get to the market square, and I was trying to find my way when I saw you dancing over there, so I decided to support you with my drums," he said, adjusting his brightly patterned sash. Naya took a better look at the intricate designs on his attire and realized that he wasn't from her community. She thanked the man for drumming for her, then directed him to the market square, pointing to the flickering lanterns in the distance. But the man insisted that he would rather continue to play for her. Without Naya's approval, he began to drum again, urging her to dance. When Naya saw that he was not going to give up, she began making small hip movements to the tune of his beat, her spirit lifting as she forgot her insecurities for a moment. After all, what did she have to lose? He was a stranger she would never meet again, and she had the opportunity to dance like she always wanted. After a long while, Naya stopped dancing, her chest heaving as she caught her breath. "Thank you, Mr. Drum. I really enjoyed myself," she said to him. "My name is Danny, not Mr. Drummer," he answered with a bow. Naya told him her name, then said she had to return home before the night grew colder, but Danny pleaded with her to come back the next day, his eyes bright with sincerity. After a moment's hesitation, Naya agreed. On her way home, Naya thought about the man, his kindness, and the warmth in his smile. She wondered why he was so nice to her, and even wanted to spend more time with her. "Of course he's not attracted to me," she thought to herself as she walked through the quiet village paths, lit only by the glow of fireflies. To Naya's understanding, it was unusual for such a handsome man to like her. All night, as she lay on her straw-filled mat, she couldn't stop thinking about him. But she tried her best not to get too excited. In the evening of the following day, Naya set out to meet her new friend Danny. She wore her favorite green wrapper, the one her mother said brought out the brightness of her eyes. When Danny set his eyes on her, he was so excited that he almost dropped the drum he was holding. Naya was equally excited to see him. They talked for a long time under the shade of a large neem tree, learning about each other's lives. Danny told her stories of his village, the festivals he had attended, and the music he loved so much. Naya shared her love for dancing and how it brought her happiness even when the world seemed cruel. Afterwards, Danny drummed for Naya to dance. The gentle rhythm of his beat made her feel as though she were floating, and for a moment she forgot about the villagers' ridicule. Days turned into weeks, and they kept on meeting each other at their secret spot. To both of them, it was always the best time of their day. Danny began bringing small gifts for Naya, colorful beads, fragrant flowers, and even sweet-smelling herbs he claimed were good for her health. Naya began to feel special, and her laughter grew louder and more carefree. Finally, one evening, as the fireflies began to gather and the crickets sang their evening songs, Danny told Naya how he felt about her. Although Naya had suspected he liked her, she did not want to jump to any conclusions. But she was happy when he finally voiced it out because she felt the same way too. "I can come with my people on the next market day to see your parents," he said, his voice steady and filled with determination. So the ball was set rolling. Naya quickly informed her parents that a man from the next village would come to ask for her hand in marriage. The king and queen were overjoyed. They never knew a day like this would come. Queen Tana hugged her daughter tightly, tears of happiness streaming down her face. But unfortunately, calamity soon struck. A week before the arranged meeting, an airborne disease spread around the entire 4 villages and their surroundings. To prevent people from spreading the disease, each village closed their borders and their rulers also instructed them to stay indoors. Naya was very sad that her future husband would not be able to see her every day as usual. To make matters worse, some days after the borders were closed, Naya contracted the airborne disease. For more than 3 months, she struggled to stay alive. The once lively hut where she and Danny had made plans now echoed with silence. The illness greatly affected her appetite, making it very difficult for her to finish even half a plate of food in a day. The village herbalist worked tirelessly, creating herbal mixtures to ease the symptoms, but progress was slow. As the months went by, a cure was finally found, and people gradually began to recover. When Naya fully recovered, the first thing she discovered was her massive weight loss. She could not believe it. She was almost as small as her 3 sisters. It was a dream come true. That wasn't the only thing that changed. Her face had also become more defined, and her beauty was evident for even the blind to see. She realized that wherever she went, men stared at her in admiration, their gazes lingering in a way they never had before. The wealthy men amongst them also began to approach her with flattering words and conversations about marriage. Naya began to feel on top of the world, and all of a sudden, she felt too good for Danny. When the borders were finally opened, Naya went to their spot to wait for him, her new beaded anklets jingling as she walked. She knew he would definitely be there waiting. When Danny set his eyes on her, he almost did not recognize her. "Wow, my princess! I missed your beautiful smile," he said, his voice warm with affection. Naya gave him the cold shoulder, her expression unreadable. She felt too mighty to be in his presence. Danny thought she was only acting up because she had missed him so much, so he began to play the drum for her to dance. But she shouted at him, her voice sharp and cutting through the quiet evening. "Mr. Drummer, I am not interested in whatever you are playing. I only came here to tell you that I am not interested in marrying you anymore." Danny was alarmed at her change in behavior, his hands frozen mid-beat. "I know you have never been with a princess before. That is why you're always smiling like a goat," she said cruelly. She stormed out of the place, her footsteps heavy on the dusty ground, warning him never to reach out to her as they did not belong to the same caliber. Weeks passed, and Danny kept sending messengers to Naya, hoping she would have a change of heart. But she ignored all of them. Instead, she was entertaining the long line of men who were now vying for her attention. Suitors from different villages brought gifts, golden bracelets, richly embroidered fabrics, and exotic spices to win her favor. One day, Naya came up with an idea that she believed would make her decision easier. She decided to host a wrestling competition for the eligible bachelors in the village, and anyone who emerged as the winner would be crowned as her suitor. The competition was set, and the news spread far and wide, reaching even the distant hills. A lot of men signed up to win the heart of Naya, the first daughter of the great King Soro. The king, proud of his daughter's newfound confidence, even invited royalties and affluent people for the event. Naya decided to stay indoors for the next 4 months to receive the best beauty treatments to wow her suitors. She soaked in herbal baths, adorned herself with oils, and wore elegant robes, believing this would secure her image as the ultimate prize. However, she failed to recognize that it was the illness that had made her slimmer. Her old eating habits remained the same, so while Naya was indoors, she continued eating her large portions, and day by day, the weight began to pile on again. Servants discreetly whispered about her growing size, but no one dared to tell her the truth. When the 4 months had elapsed, Naya had returned to her previous size. She was devastated when she looked in the mirror and saw her reflection. All the suitors she had hoped to impress with her beauty would now see her as the same Naya they had once ignored. She tried her best to cancel the event, pleading with her father to reconsider, but King Soro refused. "I'm sure you will find a suitor regardless of your present situation," he said, his voice calm but firm. On the day of the event, the village square was buzzing with activity. Warriors, farmers, traders, and many eligible bachelors gathered, ready to showcase their strength. The aroma of grilled meat and spiced drinks filled the air as villagers chatted excitedly. However, when Naya was called out to greet her visitors, the mood shifted. The men stared at her in shock, their excitement dimming. She wasn't what they had bargained for, and one by one they began to walk away, their footsteps echoing as they returned to their homes. Naya had never been so humiliated in her life. Tears stung her eyes as she turned to leave the square in shame, her heart heavy with regret. Just as she was about to retreat into the crowd, her eyes caught a familiar figure standing near the edge of the square. It was Danny, but this wasn't the Danny she remembered. He was dressed like royalty, wearing a richly adorned robe that shimmered under the sunlight, and his posture exuded confidence and grace. He was surrounded by guards, their polished weapons gleaming, and the people around him whispered in awe. For a moment, their eyes locked. Danny's expression was unreadable, but Naya could sense his quiet disappointment. Before she could say anything, a voice interrupted their gaze. "My prince, your father is ready to leave now. one of the guards announced, bowing slightly. Naya froze. Just like her, Danny was royalty. His father was the king of one of the four villages, but because of his love for music, he often disguised himself to play his drum among commoners during festivals. He had chosen to live simply and connect with people through his art rather than flaunting his status. As Naya watched Danny turn his back and begin to walk away, a wave of realization washed over her. She had lost a good man who had loved her for who she was, not for how she looked. It was such a pity because she never got the opportunity to find love again. Eventually, Naya settled as the 10th wife of an old chief, a man who valued her for her royal lineage rather than her heart. The moral lesson of this story is that you should never neglect those who were there for you when you were at your worst. These types of people are getting quite rare these days, and if you treat them unfairly, you might never get the opportunity to be in their lives anymore. Thank you for joining me today to hear this heartfelt story. Remember, the people who stand by us during our toughest moments are treasures we should never take for granted. Let this story inspire us to value kindness, loyalty, and true connections. Loyalty and true connections. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more meaningful stories. Until next time, take care and stay inspired.